we're live. If we are, I will share it out. As you can see, it's just me today. All right, and we are live. Hello, everyone. All right, let's get started. My name is David. My dad's out camping tonight, so it's just me. So you just get my random thoughts and rants. And today is going to be probably more of a somber episode, maybe a little anger filled. We'll find out. I was looking for a bunch of stories, thinking about, talking about some other things, what to talk about tonight. And honestly, I don't think there's anything else to talk about other than Charlie Kirk and the assassination. It's a heavy topic, and it's really sad. So if you didn't know, Charlie Kirk was assassinated. If you didn't know who he was, you should probably look him up. And don't read the mainstream news articles about him because they all lie. And don't just listen to snippets that are taken out of context because those are probably lies too. He was a good man. He was human, so he was flawed just like everyone else. Wasn't perfect, but there's very few men who are public in the public eye that I would recommend as that young adults look up to more than Charlie Kirk. And that's because, well, one, he was the husband of one wife who, from all external views and rumors and such, he was very faithful to. He was a father of 2 children, and he loved them dearly. And he was willing to speak to people who he disagreed with in an honorable way. Whether you agree with his stances on things, political, religious, or anything else, what I just listed are qualifications, I believe, of someone that any young adult or child or anyone should look up to and aspire to be like. To be someone that when they're talked about, people refer to them as willing to do whatever they need for their friends at the drop of a hat. They don't complain about things. They're just there to help. They don't demand things of people. They just give. There's no better example in our current generation of a man that I would who is so public. Now, I would hope that my children and my family sees me as a good man as well. But I'm talking about someone who is in the public eye, recognized by millions of people, looked up to by millions of people. That is the type of man that I would want my children to look up to and see and emulate as a political, as a influential figure, as a Christian figure. So for just that reason and that reason alone, it is very, very sad and disappointing that he was taken out like he was. In addition to that, he and the way he spoke to people was probably the best representation we have of what free speech ought to be. The whole point of democracy and the way this country was formed is on honest debate. And something I learned when I was in college was, and I don't remember the exact book, but it was from my dad. He gave it to me. And I was supposed to do a speech, a persuasive speech, and I chose to do it about tolerance. And tolerance is a word that has completely changed meanings, but it used to mean to be egalitarian regarding peoples and elitist regarding ideas. And what that means is that every individual, on earth, race, creed, poor, rich, Democrat, Republican, whatever space, whatever place you occupy, has the same intrinsic value as anyone else. It doesn't matter your intellect. It doesn't matter how many people look up to you. Everyone has the same value. And part 2 of that is that every idea does not. That is what tolerance used to look like. Tolerance used to look like that you tolerated people because they were valuable. And because of that, you could have honest conversations with people. Because when you sit down with someone and sit across from someone and understand that they have the same intrinsic value that you do, then it becomes much easier to have a hard conversation about ideas which do not dictate your value. Ideas, thoughts do not dictate your value as a person. And that is what Charlie Kirk showed. That's what he did. If you disliked him, I challenge you to actually watch his videos where he sat down at college campuses and debated people. Anyone. People who hated him for no reason. He would talk to. In a kind manner. That is something that we should have wanted to emulate. But he was killed. He was assassinated by an ideology that does not believe in the value of people. It doesn't. Our college campuses, our colleges, our culture, our government officials do not believe that people have the same intrinsic worth. And they've been teaching that to anyone who listen. For decades, the Democratic Party primarily has continually taught that if you hold viewpoints they don't agree with, you are less of a person. You're not worth even having a conversation with. And that viewpoint and that belief system led to the belief that you're not worth living. So that comes to my second thought here. This nation was built on Christian values. The Constitution was created and crafted to guide a Christian nation. And the founders themselves stated that if the population of the nation did not hold Christian values or beliefs, the Constitution would not be sufficient to control them, because it would be used against innocent people. And that is what happened. That is what has happened. The left, the woke is cult-like adherence to the liberal orthodoxy. It is not a reasoned position. It is not a logical position. It is a position of, I believe what I'm told because I'm told to believe it. People like that cannot be reasoned with. The Democratic Party used to be not so terrible as it is today, but they were the party of slavery. Has allowed this ideology to fester and grow inside their midst and has done nothing to destroy it. And now it takes up a good portion of their voting base. And they are culpable. We cannot live in a society with people who hate us and want to kill us and celebrate the death of those who disagree with them. We cannot unify with people who want to kill us and celebrate those who do. That is not something that can happen. That is not a debate. That is not a conversation we can just talk through. If you want us dead and gone, we cannot be in society with you. Plain and simple. So what has to be done now? This event, I believe, has been a wake-up call to the nation in multiple ways. One, we all thought we were safer than we were. That we could still publicly state our beliefs and not fear death. This just showed us that that is not true. But it has emboldened us to continue to speak. Because we should. We should not allow fear to stop us. Part two of that is that this was not just a political assassination. Charlie Kirk, yes, he had political beliefs, and a large majority of them I agreed with. But more than that, he was a Christian. He was a Christian who spoke about his beliefs. He spoke about Jesus. He spoke about God constantly. They guided what he did. So he wasn't just assassinated for voting Republican. He was assassinated for being a godly young man who was an example to other young men of what to be. And the enemy could not stand it. And so they had to take him out. So this is my message for young men and men who are married and older. If you didn't know, one of our jobs that God gives us is to be a protector. We are called to protect the innocent, the weak, the widows, the orphan children, our wives, our children. We are protectors. We are called to stand for what is true and what is right against all odds, against all evil. We are not called to cower in fear. We are called to stand strong. So in this moment, we should do what we are called to do. And that is stand for our beliefs. That can be done in two main ways that I see based on my understanding of the world and the Bible. One is be more of a prophet like Charlie Kirk was. Go into the town square, go to college campuses, go to anywhere that you can and speak the truth to people, talk to people, make sure that they cannot escape truth. And not truth in a mean and angry way, but truth in a loving and caring way, like Charlie did. Part two of that, some of us will be called to not be as vocal, but our actions and the way we treat people will speak for us until we are in a position and a time where we must defend and protect those like us. It makes me think of the story of Esther, the Jew, who married the king at the time, who didn't know she was a Jew. Also that God could call her to protect the Jewish nation from extermination. Some of us are not called to stand on the corner, to go to college campuses, and to yell from the rooftops that God is God, that life should be protected, that our children should be protected. Some of us are not called to that. Some of us are called to gain positions of authority and power, not by cheating or anything, but by just being good people. And when we are in those positions, use that authority and power to protect those who should be protected. So, men, stand up. Take your positions. Stop being weak. Emulate Charlie Kirk. Emulate other good men in your lives. Stand up for what you believe. Speak out for what you believe. Don't be afraid of what might happen to you. Because now is the time. Because this is a turning point in our nation where evil, pure and unadulterated evil, is being exposed for what it is. And that evil is easily seen by those who celebrate what just happened. That is pure, unadulterated evil, and we cannot live with it. Part of our response should be what I've seen online, people doing, getting people fired for the celebration. Yes, continue. But I think it needs to go further. These people need to be ostracized from society until they repent. And I believe in redemption, and I believe in mercy, and I believe in grace. But those things do not negate the consequences of your actions. If you choose to celebrate the death of an innocent person, you deserve to be ostracized and to lose a lot because you are celebrating evil. So if I were in the Trump administration right now, I would ask them to declare a lot of organizations as terrorist organizations, because this assassination is exactly what that is. It is a terrorist event. It is done to try to terrorize people out of speaking out, to try to cause fear on people so they don't stand up for what is true and what is good. So Trump should declare universities, maybe even the Democratic Party, as a terrorist organization, strip them of their funding, and begin to get rid of people who promote this ideology. And if you're thinking to yourselves that is completely unconstitutional and it's never been done, that's not true. We have laws on the books that outlawed communism because it was antithetical to our way of belief. It destroys lives. It destroys people. It makes people less than. So there is precedent for this. So while the administration has power, I hope they do everything in their power to stop this. Because if you are unaware, there's no such thing as free speech. Every word you say comes with a price. Even if you speak the truth, it comes with a price. But the consequences of you celebrating evil should come with a hefty, hefty price. I personally think that those who celebrated this should be debanked. They should not be able to get a bank account anywhere. Their landlord should evict them. Their bosses should fire them. Mortgage companies should foreclose on them. They should be made to... It should be almost impossible for them to live in any reasonable way in our society. Because we cannot tolerate this, because it will destroy everything. The celebration and the exaltation of evil will destroy our... It's not even our country. I don't care about our country so much. It may not exist for forever. That's fine. It will destroy people. If we allow this cancer to grow without extreme measures, it will metastasize and destroy the people of this nation. This will not be the first political assassination or martyr for the Christian faith if we allow this to continue. So extreme measures must be taken to make anyone who feels like this was okay not safe, and safe in that, not safe in that they can't do anything. No harm should come of them unless they do something. Don't be stupid. Don't commit acts of violence. Don't dox people. Call their places of employment, get them fired. Call their banks, get them debanked. Call their mortgage companies, get their mortgage companies to ditch them. Call their landlords. Make life as hard as possible for these people because they should be shunned, shamed from society. We used to live in a country and a culture that when people did bad things, peer pressure caused them to not want to do them again, ever. And that is the society we should live in. We should be in our culture that we want should make it unthinkable to do what just happened. And right now there was a study done, a survey done, that over 70%, I think it was, of Democrats said it was okay if someone was politically assassinated. That's not going to work. So I'm not alone in my beliefs. One of my local representatives that I like, Nick Frites, he posted this. We'll zoom in a little bit. And I'll put it in the link below. You should read it. It is in response to the head of the state representatives in Virginia, who said that he was calling for unity. He's a Democrat. The Democrat head of the representatives in Virginia was calling for unity after this. And essentially what Nick says here in summary, we cannot unify with a ideology that hates us and wants us dead, or with an ideology that is willing to protect and allow that to happen. And that is the Democratic Party. Because half of them want us dead. More than half of them would be okay with us dead. And the other portion are okay with those people existing in their party. And like I said, I don't wish for them to be dead, but they should be ostracized from society. This should not be in any way okay. There should be no celebration. There should be severe, severe punishments for anyone who has celebrated or continues to celebrate this, or continues to protect the people who do. Because if you do, you're complicit. So you should watch his video because he reads that statement. And in his own words, it is better than on page. His death, Kirk's death, is a turning point. Yes, there's been some other tragedies recently as well. There was a cool school shooting by some trans individuals recently, or a trans individual recently, but there have been several school shootings by trans individuals. That poor Ukrainian lady was murdered on a bus in cold blood by a psycho. Those things are important, but this assassination is so much more of a game changer because who was taken out? It wasn't just some random guy. It was a good man. And I don't use that term lightly. As I said, he was a father of one wife, faithful. He was a father of 2 children, and he loved them. He was a godly man and a Christian. All you hear about him from his friends is what a great guy he was. He loved this country as well. There are Democrats who aren't celebrating this, but they're saying that we need to have discourse. Your side killed the guy who wanted to have that. Your side whom you've protected and allowed to exist in your party, murdered him. So no, we're done with discourse unless you kick every single one of them out of your party. Maybe we'll talk then. Throw them all out. And then we can talk. Show us that you're not just full of shit like you normally are. There have been several very good videos from different content creators and people I respect talking about this event. One of those guys is Wesley Huff. If you don't know him, he is an apologist, a Christian one. So if you have any questions about the Bible, why we trust it, why we should trust it, why we shouldn't trust the Book of Enoch and things like that, he is a great person to listen to. He also did a quick video about this topic, and you should listen to it. Because he's a very wise man for his age. But that brings me to another point that we need to discuss that is a problem in our culture. The majority of people in society don't know how to vet trusted sources. There are Christians who dislike deeply Charlie Kirk. And that, to me, is not only saddening, but infuriating. Because it tells me they do not know about him. They don't know who he actually is. They've heard sound bites, they've heard snippets, they've seen quotes, they've seen comments that were taken out of context to make him look bad and to demonize him. And that tells me there is a systemic problem in our country with people being unable to know how to validate sources. Wesley Huff became a little bit more internet famous because he had a debate with, I can't remember his name. What was his name? Give me a second, I'll find it. So I didn't know about him before that, really. Because, he's doing his thing. He's in Canada. He's been doing apologetics for a while. But he had a friend of his. Well, not a friend of his. It wasn't his friend. It was a guy who'd followed him who was going to go debate Billy Carson. There we go. That's his name. And he's like, I'm not equipped to do this. I'm not an apologist. And so he invited Wesley Huff to come. And Wesley Huff made Billy Carson look like a moron. And he didn't do it intentionally. He was gracious and loving, but he pushed back. And one of the things he asked is, how do you validate the source you're quoting, that it is a reliable source? Because guess what? Wesley Huff is a textual critic. That means he purposely studies manuscripts from the Bible to see if they actually are historically accurate. And he has several videos on showing how to do that, but that is a practical need we need in our society. You cannot just trust any random person on the internet, a quote, a statement, or anything like that. You should assume from the onset they are lying to you until they can prove otherwise. So, if you are a Christian and you dislike Charlie Kirk and you are struggling with the fact that you're not so upset that he died, I challenge you to go listen to his on-campus debates, his interviews. Actually listen to what he actually said and not just quotes and snippets from people because you might find that he's a much better person than you imagined. This week's been a hard week. I guess it hasn't even been a week. It's been a couple days. I mean, I didn't even know the guy that closely. I'd seen him. I had heard his work, and I appreciated it. But it was a striking blow because of who he was. The impact of an innocent man being assassinated is beyond words. And upon that, the evil people that exist. We as Christians, which I am one, get complacent all too often. We get comfortable in our lives. We have a job, we have a family, we have bills to pay. And so we get in this routine of life where we're doing our job, we're making our money, we're paying our bills, everything's going well. We got our kids in school, we're helping them learn. We're working on our marriage, we're making things go well, and we feel like those are all the challenges we have in life. And if you're unaware, this should be a wake-up call that true evil still exists in this world and is our enemy that we must fight. Because this is not a fight of flesh and blood. This is a spiritual battle. The man who killed Charlie Kirk may have been demon-possessed. And yes, I believe in demons. I believe in angels. I believe in the spiritual. Because it exists. But you probably vet your sources on what exactly those things are. And if you would like to learn a little bit more about that, you should check out an interview with Lee Strobel that Tucker Carlson did. I have my problems with Tucker Carlson. He's a little bit of goes off on the deep end sometimes, but I have read several of Lee Strobel's books, and he is an honest and he is a good man, and he is a godly man. You should probably listen to that interview, and I'll put it in the link below. I'm going to add a bunch of different links, a bunch of different things in the comments down below. One of them will be Erica Kirk's address to the nation that she did today. You should watch it. We are called to be a light to this world. And one of the things I've been praying for, one of the things I've been hoping for, is that the devil tried to extinguish Charlie Kirk's light. And I pray and I ask God that instead of it being extinguished, it lights an inferno that spreads across this country. That God's presence and power is seen in his people throughout this country in such a way that it brings joy and peace to those who need it, and terror on the evil one and the people who worship him. So the last thing I will say today, let me get it pulled up real quick. One of the things that Charlie Kirk, he didn't post it right before he died, but he posted this year. In August, so not that long ago. It's all about Jesus. Some of you might think that I'm a little harsh, wanting to ostracize and shame and remove these people from society. Jesus threw people out of his Father's house because they were deceiving and cheating people. There must be consequences for people's actions, for them to want to change their lives. We are too comfortable in the United States of America for things to change much. So for humans who have a chance of redemption, who worship evil, to have a chance to change, the loving thing, the kind thing, the nice thing, is to allow them to have the full impact of their actions, so that they have to face them full on. And we can pray that leads them to run into the arms of Jesus. Because as it says in the Bible, it is harder for a rich man to enter I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly. It's harder for a rich man to enter a kingdom of heaven than for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. Because what that means essentially is that if you have all your needs met, if life isn't that hard, you have no need for Jesus. Do I want us to create an environment just so that life's hard? No. They chose to worship evil, to celebrate evil, to uplift evil. And because of that, they should face consequences. They should lose their job. They should lose their house. They should be debanked. They should be kicked out of their rental. They should have no place to stay, no place to run, no place to go. Because they wished for the death, and they celebrated the death of a good man. So that's where I'll end today. Normally, our episodes are a little bit more fun. But if you liked it, subscribe. If you hated it, feel free to comment down below, and I will laugh at you. And we will see you